Race 7 on Saturday at Santa Anita is the Grade 2 Eddie D Stakes, 6.5 furlongs on the downhill turf course. And the one horse that's missing, I hate to keep on bringing up these missing horses, but it's kind of relevant to with regards to the strength of these fields. Lieutenant Dan is the best turf sprinter in California. He was the best turf sprinter in California last year. He finished second in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And this summer, in his comeback, he was a decisive winner of the Green Flash. We're going to take a look at that race in a couple minutes. He's not in this field because he already earned his way into the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. The Green Flash this summer at Del Mar was a win and you're in. And so trainer Steve Mayotte and owner breeder Nick Alexander want to bring Lieutenant Dan into the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint fresh and ready. So he's skipping the race. Doesn't matter to me because we still have a good field of 9 in this field. And by the way, Lieutenant Dan's not the only good turf sprinter based in California. Bran, we'll talk about him in a minute as well, is also a win and you're in winner. He shipped to Kentucky Downs, won a win and you're in Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint prep for trainer John Sadler. So 2 top turf sprinters in California, Lieutenant Dan and Bran, are not in this field, but 9 horses are. And this is the biggest stakes field, biggest graded stakes field of the day. And you can make a case for a number of horses. We're going to be logical in here and talk about the most probable winner. And that's number 5, Barristan the Bold, the 5-2 favorite on the morning line. And number 1, Lane Way, who is the 4-1 second choice on the morning line. But again, there are lots of ways to go here. Air Force Red is cutting back to a sprint. That's his best distance. Goliad is speed. Cold Heart has improved since being gelded prior to his comeback 2 starts back. What makes Sammy run will be running late. Dubai Key is all speed. There are a lot of ways to go in this wide open race, but from a logical perspective, you have to go with the horse who I think is the class of the field, and that's number 4, Gregorian Chant. Phil D'Amato is absolutely loaded on Saturday, and he's got a pretty good horse coming in off a little bit of a layoff. Gregorian Chant has not started since late July. He likes the hill. He is training lights out, and we're going to take a look at his most recent start on the hill. It was March 25th at Santa Anita, and that's him way out on the far outside in a small field. He's the 3-5 favorite, and he won very comfortably. So big deal. A 5-horse allowance field, and he won convincingly. Yeah, it is a big deal because the horse on the rail is none other than Bran. Bran, mentioned him earlier, he has come a long way for trainer John Sadler, and he won a win and you're in, what turned out for him to be a $500,000 race at Kentucky Downs. It's a $1 million race for Kentucky breds. Bran was running for 500,000. He won that race. So my point is this: Gregorian Chant defeated a very good horse in that allowance race. Now he has run since then. Gregorian Chant has. He finished 3rd in a grade 2 at Belmont Park. He was far out of it in the Jaipur at Belmont, and then last time out he finished 2nd in the Wicker, won by Iridio, and that was going a mile, which is probably a little outside Gregorian Chant's comfort zone. Freshened since, training super. Gregorian Chant is the most probable winner, but it's an individual choice if you want to take him at 5-2 or not. I'd have a hard time settling for a short price, even though he's the most probable winner. There are lots of ways to go in here. And number 1, Lane Way, ran super last time out. We're going to take a look at Lane Way's runner-up finish in the Green Flash, and that's him down on the inside, and it doesn't even show the trouble he had on the turn. Lieutenant Dan cutting the corner and making the lead right here. Lane Way following Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan, I mentioned this earlier, he ran 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint a year ago. He's a very good horse, and Lane Way ran well behind Lieutenant Dan. When you get a chance, go back and take a look at the entire race by Lane Way last time out. They're available. That replay is available on Formulator. And Lane Way, he had all kinds of trouble on the turn. He checked, he steadied, he lost position, he had to wait for room. He ran well in defeat. I'm not saying he would have beaten Lieutenant Dan, but he certainly would have finished a lot closer. Lane Way would have. A good horse in good form. Okay, there's lots of ways to go in here. Air Force Red, my third preference. He should get a great trip sitting second or third behind front runners Goliad and Dubai Key. D'Amato trains Gregorian Chant. He also trains Cold Heart. Cold Heart is a new horse since being gelded prior to his July 30th comeback. His speed figures are better. He's minding his business. He's training better. Cold Heart, anytime a top trainer has more than one horse in the race, you got to take a look at both horses. There's a reason they run two. It's because both are doing well. Cold Heart is not as good as Gregorian Chant, but he's a better horse now since he was gelded. Dubai Key is all speed. What makes Sammy run will be running late. The Eddie D Stakes does not have Lieutenant Dan or Brand, but it does have Gregorian Chant and Lane Way. And those are my 1-2 choices in race number 7 on Saturday at Santa Anita.